The first moment I noticed something was wrong wasn't dramatic. It was ordinary in a way that felt almost insulting. I was standing in my bathroom, early morning light leaking through the frosted window, holding a toothbrush I had already rinsed but hadn't lifted in my mouth. The mirror was fogged in uneven patches, my reflection coming in and out of focus as the steam settled. I remember the cold tile under my bare feet, the way it climbed slowly into my calves, grounding me in my body when I would prefer to be anywhere else. My chest felt tight, not in a panic way, but like something was pressing inward with steady patience. My shoulders were raised without my permission. I could feel the muscles in my jaw locked, my teeth touching too hard. I noticed these things the way you notice background noise when the room goes quiet. There was no story yet, just sensation, a dull buzzing behind my eyes, a heaviness in my stomach that felt slightly nauseous, slightly hollow. I had been telling myself for months that discomfort like this was normal, even expected, old layers burning off, ego resistance, residual conditioning surfacing to be cleared. Those explanations had always soothed me before, like familiar phrases you repeat until they lose meaning but retain their calming shape. But this morning, standing there with a toothbrush still hovering uselessly in my hand, the explanations didn't arrive. Or maybe they did, and my body didn't believe them anymore. The apartment was quiet except for the refrigerator humming in the kitchen and the distant sound of traffic bleeding through the walls. Everything looked exactly the same as it always had. The plant by the window leaned toward the light. A mug I had forgotten to wash sat on the counter, a thin ring of dried coffee marking time. Nothing external had shifted. That was part of what made the feeling so unsettling. There was no event to point to, no reason to trace. Just a sense that something I had been leaning on internally had softened without warning. I tried to breathe more deeply, the way I had practiced so many times before. Slow inhale through the nose, gentle pause, long exhale. But the breath felt shallow, like it was skimming the surface of my lungs instead of reaching down. My ribs barely moved. Each breath felt borrowed, incomplete. The more I focused on it, the more aware I became of how little control I actually had. A thought flickered through me, quick and unwelcome. This doesn't feel like awakening. It felt almost childish the moment it appeared, the kind of thought I would normally dismiss as fear or misunderstanding. But it lingered anyway, hanging in the air like steam that refused to dissipate. I didn't argue with it. I didn't affirm it either. I just stood there, suspended between the habit of certainty and something quieter that didn't yet have a name. I noticed how tired I felt, not the satisfying tiredness after a long day, but a deeper fatigue that seemed to sit behind my eyes and in my bones. It felt old, accumulated, like I had been holding a posture internally for too long, and my muscles were finally starting to shake. I leaned against the sink, the porcelain cold through my thin shirt, and closed my eyes. For a moment, there was a temptation to reach for meaning, to frame the discomfort as a sign of progress, a threshold moment before some deeper clarity. I had done that so many times before, wrapping unease in language that made it feel purposeful. But this time, the wrapping paper tore too easily. Underneath it, there was nothing elegant, just confusion, just a quiet, persistent sense that I had misplaced something important without knowing when it slipped from my hands. When I opened my eyes again, my reflection looked unchanged. Same face, same faint lines at the corners of my eyes, same familiar neutrality. And yet I felt strangely unrecognizable to myself, like I was looking at someone who had memorized all the right expressions without fully understanding them. The toothbrush was still in my hand. The day was still waiting. Whatever had shifted hadn't announced itself. It had simply arrived and refused to leave. The belief didn't start loudly. It never does. It began as relief. I remember sitting alone late one night, months earlier, the room lit only by a small lamp on the floor. The city outside was muted, distant, as if the world had pulled a blanket over its head. I had been reading, then not reading, staring at the same page while my thoughts drifted. Something loosened in me then, a sense of spaciousness, a feeling that the constant background tension I carried had briefly stepped aside. In that quiet, a thought formed with surprising gentleness. Maybe I see it now. It wasn't a declaration. It felt more like recognition, as if something obvious had been hiding in plain sight, waiting for me to stop trying so hard. The idea settled into me easily, like a puzzle piece that seemed to fit without force. I didn't question it. Why would I? It felt like exhale after years of holding my breath. After that night, I began to reinterpret my experiences through this new lens. Moments of calm became evidence. Emotional distance felt like clarity. When situations that used to upset me now passed with muted impact, I told myself I was no longer identified. When I felt less reactive around others, I framed it as compassion rather than withdrawal. The language came naturally, as if I had been rehearsing it for years without realizing it. There were small scenes that reinforced the belief. Sitting across from a friend who was venting about the same problems they always had, I noticed a subtle impatience arise. Instead of meeting it, I labeled it internally as observation. I told myself I was witnessing patterns without getting entangled. I nodded at the right moments, offered a few carefully neutral responses, and left the conversation feeling oddly superior and oddly empty at the same time. Walking through crowded streets, I felt separate from the urgency around me. People rushed, faces tense, eyes fixed forward. I moved more slowly, deliberately. I told myself I was present, that I wasn't caught in the collective trance. The separation felt clean, almost antiseptic. It dulled the friction of daily life. It also dulled something else I couldn't quite identify. My inner dialogue shifted subtly but persistently. When doubt surfaced, it was quickly reframed as ego resistance. When sadness appeared, I observed it from a distance, careful not to let it stain me. There was a constant internal narration, a quiet monitoring of my own state. Am I attached? Am I reacting? Am I seeing clearly? The questions weren't urgent. They felt procedural, like a checklist I ran through to reassure myself I was still aligned. Over time, the belief hardened, not into arrogance exactly, but into something smoother and more convincing, a settledness. I stopped seeking feedback from others because I trusted my own perspective more. Conversations felt repetitive, predictable. I could see where people were speaking from, or so I thought, their fears, their conditioning, their unexamined patterns. I rarely said these things out loud, but the conclusions lived comfortably in my chest. There were moments when someone would look at me strangely, as if sensing a distance they couldn't name. A friend once told me I seemed far away lately. I smiled and reassured them I was just going through a quiet phase. Inside, I felt a flicker of irritation. They don't see it yet, I thought, then immediately softened the thought into something more palatable. Different paths, different timing. The belief protected me. It gave shape to my identity without requiring overt defense. I didn't need to convince anyone. I just knew, or believed I knew, and that knowing insulated me from vulnerability. When loneliness crept in, I reframed it as solitude. When boredom spread through my days, I called it simplicity. The words worked well enough to keep deeper questions at bay. I remember standing at a window one afternoon, watching rain streak down the glass. The city blurred into soft lines and muted colors. I felt calm, detached, and quietly pleased with myself. There was a sense of having arrived somewhere after a long journey. I didn't celebrate it. I didn't announce it. I just stood there, convinced that the steady neutrality was proof of having seen through something fundamental. Looking back, what strikes me is how stable it all felt. How reasonable. There were no alarms, no obvious contradictions. The belief didn't demand constant affirmation. It simply settled in and rearranged the furniture in my inner life, making itself comfortable while I mistook its stillness for truth. The cracks didn't announce themselves either. They repeated, quietly, almost politely. I returned to the same situations I had navigated before, expecting the same calm detachment, and found something subtly off. Conversations that once felt neutral now left a faint residue, like static clinging to my skin. I would walk away from interactions feeling drained, though nothing overtly unpleasant had happened. I noticed how often I replayed exchanges in my head afterward, rehearsing what I could have said differently, even as I told myself I wasn't attached to outcomes. The contradiction was easy to ignore at first. Everyone reflects. I reasoned. Observation doesn't mean engagement. But the rehearsals grew longer, more detailed. They followed me into quiet moments, into bed at night, into the spaces where silence used to feel spacious. Returning to familiar places, I felt a growing unease. Cafes where I had once sat contentedly alone now felt slightly claustrophobic. The background noise grated. The closeness of other bodies made me tense. I told myself I was simply more sensitive now, more aware, but the sensitivity didn't feel expansive. It felt brittle. Patterns began to repeat with uncomfortable consistency. I would withdraw from someone emotionally, tell myself it was non-attachment, then feel a sharp pang of loneliness days later. I would avoid difficult conversations, framing it as acceptance, then feel resentment simmer quietly beneath the surface. Each time, the belief stepped in to smooth things over, offering explanations that fit just well enough to prevent deeper inquiry. There were moments when the mask slipped briefly, a sudden flash of irritation in traffic, a defensive response to a harmless comment, a wave of sadness that arrived without a clear trigger and refused to be observed away. Each time, I felt a jolt of embarrassment, like being caught breaking character. I doubled down on my internal monitoring, tightening my grip on the narrative that I was beyond these fluctuations. The collapse, when it came, wasn't dramatic. It happened on an afternoon that looked like any other. I was sitting at my desk, staring at a blank document, the cursor blinking patiently. The room was quiet, too quiet. I felt restless, unable to focus, my body shifting in the chair every few seconds. My chest felt heavy again, that same pressure from months before, only stronger now. I tried to apply all the familiar strategies. Observe the sensation. Let it pass. Don't identify. Nothing moved. The discomfort thickened, spreading into my throat, my jaw. I felt suddenly exposed, like I had been standing on a platform I didn't realize was hollow until it began to sag beneath me. A thought surfaced, slow and unmistakable. What if this is an awakening at all? The question wasn't sharp. It was tired. It carried a weight that stopped me cold. I felt heat rise to my face, a flush of something close to shame. Not because I had failed, but because I had been so certain. I sat there for a long time, doing nothing. The belief tried to reassert itself, offering familiar explanations, but they sounded thin now, like lines recited from memory, without conviction. Each explanation collapsed under its own weight as soon as it appeared. I couldn't make myself believe them anymore. What surprised me most was how humiliating the moment felt, not in a public sense. No one else was there. It was an internal humiliation, a quiet recognition of self-deception. I hadn't been tricked by anyone else. I had built this structure myself and lived inside it willingly. The sense of collapse wasn't a crash. It was a slow sinking, like realizing you've been standing in water that's been rising incrementally, unnoticed, until it reaches your chest and makes breathing difficult. There was no dramatic revelation, no catharsis, just a steady unraveling of certainty I had mistaken for ground. In the days that followed, nothing resolved itself. If anything, things felt more unstable. I moved through my routines with a heightened awareness that stripped them of their familiarity. Making coffee in the morning felt oddly intimate, like I was watching myself from too close. The smell, the sound of water boiling, the warmth of the mug in my hands all registered sharply, without the cushion of interpretation I had relied on before. Memories began resurfacing, uninvited. Moments from months or years earlier replayed themselves under a harsher light. Conversations where I had withdrawn and called it wisdom. Situations where I had avoided vulnerability and labeled it peace. I didn't analyze these memories. They simply appeared, carrying a weight I couldn't shake off. There was a particular memory of sitting across from someone I cared about, listening while they spoke about feeling disconnected from me. I remembered how calm I had felt then, how composed. Revisiting it now, I felt a dull ache in my chest. The calmness had been real, but so had the distance. Seeing both at once was disorienting. The loss of identity crept in quietly. Without the belief to anchor me, I wasn't sure how to understand my own reactions. When irritation arose, I didn't know what it meant. When sadness lingered, I didn't rush to frame it as anything. I just felt it, heavy and unadorned. The absence of explanation was uncomfortable, like being in a room without furniture. I noticed how often I reached for certainty out of habit, how my mind tried to rebuild a new structure from a fragment of the old one. Each time, something in me hesitated. I didn't trust the impulse anymore. The hesitation felt raw, exposed. It left me sitting with questions I wasn't allowed to answer, not because of any rule, but because answers felt premature. There were evenings when I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of not knowing pressed down on me. My body felt restless, unsettled. I missed the sense of having arrived somewhere, even if that arrival had been illusory. Letting go of it felt like floating without reference points. What unsettled me most was realizing how much effort had gone into maintaining the belief, how vigilant I had been in guarding it. Seeing that effort now made me tired in a different way, a cleaner fatigue, one that didn't ask to be fixed. I didn't replace the belief with a better one. I couldn't. Every attempt felt hollow. Instead, I found myself returning to simple moments, not for comfort, but because there was nowhere else to go. Washing dishes, watching light shift across the floor, sitting on a bench and feeling the weight of my body settle into it. These moments didn't offer insight. They didn't mean anything beyond themselves. The realization, if it can be called that, wasn't a conclusion. It was an ongoing destabilization, a recognition that I had mistaken a position for freedom, that in trying to stand above experience, I had subtly stepped away from it. Seeing this didn't resolve the tension. It deepened it, stripped it of ornament. Life didn't change dramatically after that. If anything, it slowed. Ordinary moments took on a different texture, not because they were imbued with meaning, but because I was no longer rushing to interpret them. I noticed the sound of my footsteps on the pavement, uneven and unremarkable. I noticed how my breath caught slightly when climbing stairs. These observations didn't feel like practice. They felt unavoidable. There were days when the old belief tried to resurface, offering itself as comfort. On those days, I felt a familiar tightening in my chest, a subtle warning. I didn't push the belief away. I let it hover unclaimed. The space between impulse and acceptance grew wider, more noticeable. Conversations with others changed, though not in any way I could easily articulate. I listened more, not out of intention, but because I no longer felt the need to position myself. I also noticed how often I didn't know what to say. The silence that followed felt awkward, human. I let it remain. Uncertainty became a quiet companion, not a problem to solve, but conditioned to live alongside. Some days it felt heavy, other days barely present. I stopped trying to measure progress. The urge to locate myself on some internal map faded, replaced by a gentler attention to what was actually happening. There was humility in realizing how little I understood, not the performative kind, but a practical one, a humility that showed up in small ways, like admitting when I was tired, or when I didn't have the capacity to engage. These admissions didn't feel enlightened. They felt honest. I still feel discomfort. I still withdraw sometimes. I still catch myself wanting to stand apart. The difference now is subtle. I see the movement as it happens, without immediately turning it into something else. The seeing doesn't fix it. It just accompanies it. The story doesn't end cleanly. There is no moment of arrival to point to, no final frame where everything makes sense. There's just this ongoing, unremarkable unfolding. Mornings that begin with light through a window. Evenings that end with fatigue settling into my limbs. The quiet persistence of being here, without the certainty I once mistook for awakening. I move more slowly now, not because I have learned something, but because rushing feels unnecessary. I don't claim clarity. I don't claim depth. I live inside the questions without naming them, letting them shift and change shape on their own. What remains is not an answer, but a willingness to stay with the discomfort, to stay with the ordinary, to stay without needing to be somewhere else.